Boogie2988 has found himself in some new drama recently. A once YouTube legend, but now referred to as just a lolcow that gets his udders milked every month or so. But recently, Turkey Tom, fellow commentary channel, he made a video on Boogie, basically kind of just recapping his whole career, just like how he does on his main channel. I mean, it's an hour-long video, for God's sake, basically just it's that whole genre of just recapping a whole career, or recapping someone's life, like birth to end, from what is documented on the internet, going over all their controversies and so. And Boogie seemed to not take this very fondly. He went to Twitter after someone replied to him, making him aware of this video, saying, "Turkey Tom just accused you of lying about your sexual abuse. You really should do a response video on this one." And Boogie responds saying, "Did he really? Sad that someone like him with that kind of reach on the platform would stoop so low. But that's classic Turkey Tom for you." And you know, from the surface, that seems like a normal, rational response if he just wasn't aware of what the context was and someone was telling him something so crazy, like Turkey Tom was alleging that he was lying about his sexual abuse. But then, in the replies, just to poison the well, he says, "I'll just leave this here," and it's a whole bunch of out of context messages from Turkey Tom and DMs of him saying racial slurs and a whole bunch of sarcastic, and I assume so, jokes that he was making in private DMs with people who assumingly didn't really care that much. But regardless of what you think about him using racial slurs in private or whatever, this has nothing to do with anything that Turkey Tom brought up in his video. So it just comes across as such a low-hanging fruit and reach to try to discredit any criticism against you. Like, yeah, this guy may have brought up some good points here and there in his video, but did you know he's a racist? As if that's relevant at all. And ironic coming from Boogie, who has clips of him out there saying this.
Would never, obviously never actually say the word, but I don't even like abbreviating it.
Niggas. And I know that I could still be a niggas, and be white.
Yo, for you
I'm a
too.
black person.
Sparkle, I'm glad to hear you're still black. And thanks for 2 months of support, man. That's a lot of money, I guess, for a person of color, or is it not? I don't know. But I have a gun that's also a USB drive.
What do you mean by that, Boogie? How much money do you think people of color have?
Niggas.
But obviously, morally, I don't care that these clips exist of Boogie or that you've done this in the past, but it's so fucking ironic coming from you to try to paint someone else as a racist for virtually the same things of out-of-context clips and DMs. But after getting into a little bit of a back and forth and fight with Tom on Twitter, he eventually deleted his main tweet that we went over and made this video instead.
So obviously, we knew with the good karma coming from that fight, the usual suspects and the muck-dreckers of YouTube are going to do what they do. And today it's Turkey Tom's time. He made a video that'll certainly get 2 or 3 million views over the Memorial Day weekend. And I figured, I tweeted about it a little bit, but it's probably easier to just make a video response about it, right? Number one, this is like the 5th video Tom has made about me in his career. It's also like the 3rd video that's come across my timeline from him in the last week about me. Obsessed much?
They're not sending their best. His first point is unironically to say, "You're obsessed with me. You love me. You obsessed with me. You like me too much." Dude, this whole like milking point or making too many videos on a topic point just rings so hollow in my opinion and just doesn't hold up to any actual critiques of someone else. Like, where you're milking something and when you're making too many videos on a topic, the only way that that's bad is if there's nothing to talk about. But you can make 10,000 videos on anything if there's consistent news and consistent things to talk about and that you're not just repeating yourself over and over again. Like, to a certain extent, that's fine, but if you're making 5 videos on one topic and the same topic every single time, then you can make a point that's obnoxious. But if there's a new thing that's happening for each of those 5 videos, how can you critique that? And especially for someone like Boogie, who has controversy after controversy, things after things happening throughout his whole career, how can you critique someone else for consistently making videos on each new thing coming out? Is a news reporter obsessed with all the topics that they cover in a day? No, they're just reporting the news, reporting relevant and recent topics.
It's kind of weird, but he made a video and I skimmed through it today, and it's all the same old shit from 2019 and prior to that, you know. And I've gone over it before, but let's go over it again real quick. I might do a more detailed video on it, but have I said some fucked up shit in my past? Yes, for sure. And I've apologized and I've stopped saying fucked up shit, all right? And then there's a lot of misinformation and rumors that's in this video that has been spread about me that he continues to spread here. The most dangerous of which, in my opinion, is the implication, though he said he would never say I lied about it, but he heavily implies, as people like him do, that I lied about the abuse that me and my sister and my brother went through as kids.
So that's a huge claim. Boogie's saying that he heavily implied that he lied about the abuse, and Turkey Tom was saying that he didn't really get abused as a kid. Whoa, that's huge. Let's see the real context though. What's the clip? What did Tom actually say?
Speak as extensively as Boogie did led many to believe that he brought his abuse up as a way to garner sympathy whenever he felt the need for validation. Some thought he was changing his story when it felt more convenient to get more sympathy. Now, I would never go out and say that he lied about being abused in his childhood. For all of that to be lies would be genuinely reality breaking. But there's a reason why many question his reliability as a narrator. In this and many other cases, he couldn't get his story straight. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to his documented contradictions or barrage of backtracks and word redefinitions.
So the literal quote from Tom is saying, now I would never go out and say that he lied about being abused in his childhood, because that would be a ridiculous claim that can never be made in good faith, because you can never know at the end of the day. But what he did bring up is that Boogie, someone with no credibility at this point because he has a lifelong career of being dishonest, lying, and saying things just for sympathy. So he went on to explain that a lot of people didn't buy his story, because if he's lied about all these other things in his life, then why would he be telling the truth about this? I mean, it's just a boy cried wolf. So is that not just the most reasonable thing to just bring up, that people out there have this opinion that they don't think that Boogie is telling the truth about his childhood? I mean, he's an unreliable narrator to the bone. And holy shit, dude, Tom even gave his personal opinion that he's not going out and saying that Boogie is lying about his childhood. He's just bringing up that other people have this opinion about him for this, and this reason.
I think that's sincerely fucked up. Not only is it hurtful to me, or hurtful to the victims who followed my story, watched my videos throughout the years, but it makes it more difficult for victims to come forward when they are victims of abuse, because if they didn't believe Boogie, and it was so readily apparent in my case, and I have my brother and my sister to back it up, if I'm not going to be believed, they might not be believed either, so they don't come forward. And I think that is extremely irresponsible of Tom to do, but Tom does what Tom does. You don't expect anything else.
What the fuck is this condescending tone? Tom does what Tom does. But he's just going full victim complex, like, if they don't believe me, then they're not gonna believe everyone else, and this is really damaging for society. Like, bro, this is black and white. You are an unreliable narrator who lied about plenty of shit in the past, so there's a really good reason for a lot of people to not believe you in another case if you've lied about all these other cases. And lastly, I do want to go over this little back and forth between Tom and Boogie on Twitter, where Tom responds to one of his tweets saying, bro, you didn't even watch the video, and Boogie says, I watched the majority of it on 2x speed. I lived it, so I don't really need your version of events, and I stopped watching when you implied I lied about the abuse we kids went through. That's irresponsible and fucked up of you. Tom replies saying, while I appreciate your attempt to write off the entire video off with that, it's not what I said. If you have an issue, you should watch it on your channel so everyone can see the full context of what I said. And Boogie says, I don't really have another channel, I just have the main one, and I already responded all these accusations back when they happened in 2019 and 2020. Unlike you, I don't really feel the need to go back over it. That said, I do hope the proper karma visits you in the future. I will give you credit for one thing. I have been very bad at communicating my history, and I don't blame people for doubting it, including yourself. That's the best I can do for you, my friend. Be well and have a good life. And that's the whole criticism. This is so fucking weird, because this tweet was before the video we just watched. So he acknowledges that he's been very bad at communicating in the past and told lies. So he doesn't even blame people for doubting it and other people for doubting it in the past. So where the fuck's the problem? That was the whole critique of you. You're a boy cried wolf. This guy's fucking schizophrenic. And then in another tweet, someone replies saying, am I fucked in the head for finding this hilarious? And Boogie says, no, at the end of the day, I don't actually hate Tom, and I really hope that he doesn't hate me. I just know my role in the show when I'm playing it. I just know my role in the show when I'm playing it? What does that mean? So is this all an act? God, this guy communicates so fucking weird. And in another tweet, he even went on to say, I still respect you, Tom. Why would you respect someone who you think just spread misinformation about your abuse and is doubting abuse that you were subjected to in your childhood? This guy's all over the place. What does he actually believe here? Is it all just an act and he's playing his role in like internet drama and he doesn't hate Tom and is all he's saying just for show to go back and forth on Twitter? Or does he believe the actual things that's coming out of his mouth? But this just proves the point of the pattern of behavior with this guy. But at the end of the day, it seems like we are going to get some pretty good content out of this, because he put out a tweet saying, anyways, going to be an adult about this, which I actually like. If Turkey Tom wants to come on my podcast and talk to me about this stuff, I'm glad to do so. Let's give him a little encouragement folks, and Tom ends up agreeing to this. So hopefully we get some good content out of that. They talk it out, and hopefully it gives us some good memes. But at the end of the day, Boogie's a dumbass, and yeah, see you tomorrow.